Hey there, got a nice little recovery flow for you today. I'm going to be using some variations of the wave and load, scorpion reach and crab reach. I'm going to be using the yoga mat, and that's going to give my knees a little bit of support. So I'm going to do the variations first with my knees on the ground. And then what I'm going to do is I can keep the mat there, and then I'm going to go into the full versions, so which are a little bit more challenging. So depending on how you're feeling, you can just carry on with the one with the knees on the floor, or you could move into the next section, which is a little bit more challenging. So I'm not going to do any wrist mobility for a warm-up. I'm just going to get straight into it. So if you feel like you need to warm up prior to doing any of the moves, then pause the video, jump into some wrist mobility. I've got another video on for that. And also you can do a general warm-up as well if you want, just to loosen up a little bit. So with that being said, I'm going to get started. So I'm going to get to the back of the mat, my knees, I'm going to be just sat on my heels and my feet are flat on the floor for a start. My knees are slightly wider than shoulder width. And I'm going to slide my hands forward, so not too far straight away. I'm going to tuck my head in between my ears, tuck my head in between my biceps, and my ears are between my biceps. And then I'm going to slowly start moving forward, tucking the chin round in the spine. When my hips pass over my knees, I'm going to lift the feet and press the heels together. Slowly start letting my belly fall to the floor, or my hips fall to the floor. I'm pushing into the ground. Slowly, eyes towards the ceiling. Pull my heels in. One breath in this position. And then to come back, I'm going to tuck the chin, push that ground away, slowly moving back into the starting position, and then I'm going to try and walk my hands a little bit further forward, get a little bit deeper, and then go again for rep number 2. So again, shifting forward, tuck and round. So bring the heels, hips come to the floor, eyes towards the ceiling, pulling them heels in. We'll do a couple of breaths in this position. So I'm pushing into the ground still, and to come back, tuck the chin, push that ground away, really spread them shoulder blades apart, down to the start, and again, see if you can walk the hands a little bit further forward, try and get a little bit deeper stretch, and then we're going to go again. So just do one more, tucking round, bring the heels, I'm corkscrewing my arms, I'm keeping them nice and straight, hips to the floor, eyes to the ceiling, pushing into the ground, 2 breaths in this position. And then to come back, tuck the chin, push that ground away, all the way back to the start. Okay, and we can stay in this position, but this time I'm going to tuck the toes under. I'm going to stay in this position. Now I'm going to go into a variation of scorpion reach. So again, I'm shifting my weight forward. This time I'm going to pick the left leg up. I can drag it on the floor or just slightly pick it up. Press into the right wrist. And then I'm going to slide it back in circular motion. I'm going to push that ground away. And then I'm going to try and pick my leg up as high as I can into the air. Really sit back on that hip. Okay. And then to come forward, I just bring that leg round. I can land it on the floor if I want to, slide it in, press into the wrist, and I can slide it back, tuck the toes under. So the knees are probably can be a little bit not as wide on this one. So again, at my starting position, shift the weight forward. This time I'm going to bring the right leg. I'm going to press my knee into the wrist. Then I'm going to circular motion, push that ground away. Pushing back, trying to pick my leg up as high as I can into the air. So I'm really sinking into that hip, hold that position. Nice breath in that position, then I'm going to come back, nice and slowly. I land my knee on the floor, press back into the wrist, shifting back. That's one on each side, so we're going to do one more on each side. So I'm going to bring the left knee over to meet the right wrist, pressing in. Then I'm going to push that ground away,
up to that peak position, get nice and deep, really lift that leg up, really pull that heel in, point the toes, couple of breaths, and then coming back, circular motion, pressing in, pushing back to our starting position. One more on the right leg, so right leg comes over, presses into the wrist, and I'm going to move circular motion, move that ground away, push back, sink nice and deep into the hip, really trying to lift that leg towards the ceiling and trying to pull that heel in, taking a couple of breaths. And nice and slowly, bringing the leg round, pressing back into the heel, or sorry, the wrist, sliding back, and then I'm back into my position. So now I can walk my knees forward to the middle of the mat. I'm on the flats of my feet again, so my toes are not tucked under now. And then what I'm going to do is put the left hand back, do a couple of crab reaches on each side, so with the knees under. So I'm going to bring the right arm into the centre. I'm going to extend or push my hips into the air as far as I can at the same time as rotating the shoulder. And I'm just going to watch that arm come over my head, frame the head, look down to the arm on the floor. One breath in and out. And I'm going to come back nice and slowly, down, swap arms, back into the centre, left hand, pushing up. Really push them hips forward first, then take the hand over, frame the head, and look down. Nice breath. Coming back. Swap hands. One more on each side. So extend the hips first, rotate the shoulder, watch that hand over the head, and frame the head, looking down to the wrist, really extending the hips, 2 breaths. And coming back, nice and slowly. One more on the other side. Extend the hips first. Two breaths this side. And coming back, nice and slowly. And that's kind of first. So that's going to be the first sequence, which is the variation. Now we're going to go into the full movement of each one. So if we can go back to the back of the mat again, I'm going to tuck my toes under, knees are shoulder width or just over shoulder width apart. I'm going to slide my hands forward. Now I'm going to go into my loaded beast, so I'm going to use my arms to grip the mat. I'm going to lift my knees off the mat, pull my knees out wide, tension in the belly button, tension in the shoulders, so I'm shrugging my shoulders. Now I'm just going to drive my hips into the air. I'm trying to look or focus on the same position on the floor. Then I'm going to tuck my chin, round my spine, slowly shift the weight forward. And when my shoulders pass over my wrists, I'm going to drop my hips to the floor, start looking towards the ceiling, eyes towards the ceiling, really pushing into the ground. And to come back, tuck chin, push that ground away, really spread them shoulders, try and get that wave moving down the spine, lowering. Okay, keep the knees off the floor, we're going to go for one more. So pushing up, tuck them round, lowering the spine or lowering the hips, squeezing the glutes, pushing it, the hands into the floor, eyes towards the ceiling. Couple of breaths. I'm going to come back, tuck the chin, push the ground away, try and get that spine wave moving down. And I'm coming back. Okay, rest for a moment, knees on the floor. Now we're going to go into a scorpion reach, left leg first. So get into that loaded beast. Okay, we're going to go left leg scorpion reach. So we're going to shift the weight forward, left leg, or left knee presses into the wrist, and push that ground away into that peak position, really lifting that leg up towards the sky, pulling the heel in. I've still got a soft leg, and my heel is pointing slightly out. I'm trying to get my ears between my shoulder or my biceps. Take a breath, and to come back, a circular movement. Press the knee into the wrist, and then back. We'll go right leg, so right leg scorpion reach. So push that ground away, up to peak position. So I do my self check, soft knee, heel slightly out, pulling that leg, opening that hip up, pulling that leg as high as I can towards the ceiling. Ears are between my biceps, and I come back, pressing in, down, left leg again, pressing in, up to the top, self check, 2 breaths, and then back, pressing in, down, right leg, up to the top, do a self check, and then back, and then down. And finally we'll go into the full crab reach. So I'm going to our crab position, just going to do 2 sets, 1 on each side, times 2. So we'll start with the right arm first. So I'm going to set into my crab position, pull my shoulders back, head is slightly up, tuck the chin, pushing into the ground, bring the right hand into the centre, so my legs want to be slightly wider than shoulder width. I'm going to drive my hips into the air, rotate my shoulder, hand is in front, I'm going to watch that hand over my head, pushing down, framing my head, looking towards the hand. Nice breath in that position. And I'm going to come back, slowly lowering down, swap hands, left arm comes to the centre, extend the hips first, rotate the shoulder, and then follow that hand over. Coming back, 1 more on each side. Extend the hips first, rotate the shoulder, watch the hand over. 2 breaths in this position. And coming back. 1 more, so left arm up, extend, push the hips into the sky, watch the hand over. 2 breaths. Coming back. Cool. Okay, that's the end of the flow. So, like I say, it's that kind of a recovery flow. It's a little bit more challenging to obviously do it with the knees off the mat. So you can use the first part as more of a recovery, and the second part, depending on what your fitness levels are, it's still kind of recovery, it's strength as well, but you're getting a lot of blood flow into the body, everything's moving nice and slow. So it's kind of good for getting movement in and recovering for anything that you're doing. So I hope you enjoyed that recovery session, and see you again next time.